We've all played Halo 3 for countless hours. In fact, I can confidently say there's no other video game I've played more in my lifetime than Halo. But if I'm being completely transparent, aside from a book or two I've read and the endless playthroughs I've had in my youth, I couldn't have told you about the random facts of Halo a few days ago. In fact, I know there's tons of vids on cool trick shots or hard to reach places, but aside from those, I've never tried exploring all the random curiosities in Halo 3 until this week. Mason and I also wanted to do something different than the usual RPGs we cover, and this game holds a special place in our hearts. So without further ado, we hope you enjoyed the discoveries we recently found, and we hope you learned something new about this iconic game that you may not have known before. If you do, it would mean a lot if you liked and subbed. Enjoy, guys.
Do we all remember level 5 campaign mission The Storm? On the lake bed where players battle the Scarab and Wraiths, there's a stranded ship, a large boat marooned at the bottom due to the Covenant's excavation of the Ark's portal. The massive digging effort drained the lake, leaving the ship permanently grounded in the now dry basin. Accessing the ship can be an entertaining challenge. In co-op mode, one player must use a ghost vehicle and position it near the gap to the left of the ramp where they entered the area. By carefully boosting and timing a jump, players can propel themselves towards the ship, landing on its deck if executed perfectly. Alternatively, the theater mode offers a simpler way to explore the vessel. Just fly the camera into the ship, which is what we chose to do. Inside, the ship holds some intriguing details. One galley features a fuzzy poster depicting a figure in a colonial uniform from the 1700s with the caption "Sheik of the Sea." This is a clever nod to Bungie employee Shikai Wong, affectionately known as Sheik. Also, I hope I got those names right. If not, don't murder me. The ship also pays homage to an inside joke from Bungie's development days. During the testing phase of Halo 3, the game was codenamed Pimps at Sea, a reference that fans of Bungie lore might recognize. As an added mystery, if you view the stern of the ship from behind, its design bears quite the resemblance to Master Chief's Mark VI helmet. Whether this connection was intentional or just a coincidence remains unconfirmed, leaving us fans to speculate.
We'll keep this one simple. In the Halo 3 announcement trailer all the way back in 2006, you can actually see a road crossing sign in the first few seconds of the trailer. But what is that on the actual sign? Well, if we zoom in, you'll see that it's actually a grunt. In an FAQ released with the trailer, Bungie jokingly explained the new Mombasa City Council had an incredibly efficient public works department until and even after during the tragic and devastating Covenant invasion. So the next time you decide to head to New Mombasa, watch out for those pesky grunt crossings. We've all carved our name in a tree, right? Carved letters can be seen in the lush jungle of the Halo 3 campaign mission Sierra 117. Sharp-eyed players might notice subtle carvings etched into the trees. Hidden among the dense foliage, these carved hearts and initials seem to tell quiet, untold stories of past connections. These details appear across all difficulties and are seamlessly tied into the environment, requiring no special tricks or modes to discover. Just a careful eye for the small, personal touches that bring the world of Halo to life. If anyone knows what these signify, let us know in the comments below. I actually cherish this game and want to know.
Halo 3 not only had an epic release, but it came with 3 different sizes, or rather editions. The standard edition is the regular edition of the original release of Halo 3 that we all know and love. But if you weren't fortunate enough to see the other 2 editions, then it might be a fun fact to know that the limited edition came in a 3-way folding container made in steel, and also a small poster of Master Chief in the Arbiter, storyboard art, and an extra disc with behind-the-scene footage that displayed the processes needed to develop the game. The Legendary Edition arrived at $129, and it was just that, legendary. It had a documentary of the making of Halo 3, Halo 3 gamer avatars, a legendary DVD showing cutscenes of the prior Halo games, and most importantly, a Master Chief helmet. If you were like us, you probably didn't have the adult money at the time to purchase this legendary edition. Spartans have an insane reaction time of 20 milliseconds. Put a Spartan in Mjolnir's suit with AI in a high-stress environment and they react even more quickly. The average human being's reaction time is 215 milliseconds for reference, meaning a Spartan is not only physically more capable than the average Marine, but also almost 11 times more mentally capable as well, making them ideal for high-stress situations.
I heard of so-called cavemen that existed in Halo just last year. I spent most of my youth in Mason's basement trying to get to level 50 on multiplayer, spent multiple playthroughs on the campaign, and yet never heard of these cavemen in all my youth from players online or from anyone I knew. Mason, of course, already knew about them, but this was my first time playing the campaign in several years, and I was eager to see what the hype was. And yes, I saw it, or saw them. Actually, there are cavemen in 2 locations in the level Sierra 117. First, where Sergeant Major Johnson reports his Pelican is shot down, if the player moves to the left, they will come across some rocks with a final large rock at the end. If the player navigates through, they can crouch under a ledge to see the first caveman. Second, the lone caveman can be viewed on a cliff using a sniper rifle where the player rescues Sergeant Johnson. Finally, if you really want to geek out with me, in Halo 3 ODST, in the epilogue cutscene, press the right stick and the screen will pan to the left to show Edward Buck grooming a caveman. In Halo the Master Chief Collection, spotting one of the cavemen hidden in Halo 3 will unlock the achievement Missing Link. But there's more to these quirky figures than meets the eye. Each caveman sports the face of Marcus R. Leto, a senior member of the Bungie team. Internally, they were humorously referred to as the Gore Leto, a name stemming from an inside joke where Leto's face was photoshopped onto a gorilla as part of an office prank. Adding to the intrigue, one of the cavemen in the Sierra 117 mission clutches a teddy bear. This isn't just any bear, however. It features a caricature of Christopher Carney, Bungie's multiplayer lead. Originally, the teddy bear was planned to appear in Master Chief's cryo chamber during the Halo 3 ending. In the legendary version, Chief would have reached down to grab it as the chamber door closed, creating a memorable, if unexpected, touch to the finale.
The voiceovers of most of the Marines are the cast of the 2002 TV series Firefly and the 2005 series Serenity. And I get it. Both TV shows have a space theme involving crews, galactic adventures, and spacecraft. Sound familiar?
Do I sound like a brute to you?
Well, you could be held prisoner by brutes.
If I was held prisoner by brutes and knew the password, then the brutes could just force me to tell you the password and you'd open the door for them.
Okay, well now I'm definitely not gonna open the door.
But we need ammo!
Well, why don't you go ask your brute buddies then?
Nathan Fillion, who is the star in both series and plays the voices of the sergeants, can be found on one of the levels where he refers to himself as Sergeant Reynolds from Firefly. Fillion would later voice Edward Malcolm Buck, starring in ODST. The resemblance is uncanny. In the Halo series, all human projectile weapons eject shell casings as they fire, but there's a hidden detail etched into these tiny cartridges that most players never notice. On the base of each casing, the words Chief and EGX, which are engraved, are a subtle nod to John 117, the Master Chief himself. Due to the small size of the writing and the fact that the casings disappear quickly in Halo 3, spotting this detail during regular gameplay is nearly impossible. The best way to examine it is in theater mode by detaching the camera and zooming in on the shell casings as they eject. Interestingly, this feature isn't exclusive to Halo 3. It also appears in Halo 3 ODST despite John 117's absence, as the two games obviously share the same engine. The detail even made its way into the Halo Reach beta and the final version of Halo Reach, which is pretty cool.
Alright, while technically not naughty, Cortana is always digitally half naked, in a Matrixy type of way, but that's neither here nor there. Whether you are trying to storm the base itself when playing Capture the Flag, or simply fighting for the active camo on the map, High Ground is one of the most iconic multiplayer maps in Halo 3. But it holds a fascinating secret that many players overlook. Near the missile at the far end of the beach, you'll find an old, partially destroyed bunker with a hole in its side. Enter through the hole, turn right, and you'll spot a computer lying on a desk. Initially, the computer screen displays an image of the hangar from the campaign mission Crow's Nest. However, if you watch closely, an image of Cortana will flash onto the screen for just a split second before disappearing. This mysterious image reappears every 2 minutes, rewarding patient observers. Interestingly, this visual detail isn't exclusive to High Ground. In Forge mode, any small computer placed on the map will display the same behavior. You can also find Cortana's fleeting image on similar computers in the starting area of the campaign mission Crow's Nest, adding another layer to the connection between the multiplayer and campaign worlds.
On the multiplayer map High Ground, you might stumble upon an unexpected detail. a Chinese food box hidden among a pile of junk beneath a stairway. This small, unassuming detail also appears in other areas of the game, such as the campaign level The Storm. At first glance, this might just seem insignificant, and to me it truly was back in the day when I first saw it. But it does hold a funny connection to the Bungie development team that I never knew about. The Chinese food box is a playful nod to the large amounts of takeout consumed during the game's creation, as seen in the behind-the-scenes footage of the Halo 3 Legendary Edition disc, where many of the team members are enjoying their go-to meal. I think a better reference would have been Mountain Dew bottles and Dorito chips, but Chinese food works too. In Halo 2, the Scarab was mostly a scripted element, meaning its movements and actions were predetermined and followed on a set path during gameplay. However, in this game, the developers took things to the next level by giving the Scarab its own artificial intelligence, allowing it to navigate the environment independently. Instead of being restricted to a fixed route, it can now move around freely, react to the player's actions, and adapt to different situations on its own. This change makes encounters with the Scarab feel much more dynamic and unpredictable, adding a whole new layer of excitement and challenge to the gameplay.
When an infection form attaches itself to a host, it doesn't waste any time. Using a razor-sharp, needle-like appendage, it pierces straight into the host's spine, delivering a lethal cocktail of neurotoxins and chemicals. These substances don't just take control of the body, they're designed to keep the host alive and, even worse, fully conscious for what's about to happen. In some cases, the host's awareness lingers for a few agonizing days, forcing them to endure every horrific moment of the transformation. But if the host is particularly unlucky, the infection form might be too weak to fully take over, leaving their mind trapped inside their decaying body indefinitely. Just ask Private Jenkins, he learned that the hard way. The elite, noting that Truce fleet outnumbered the Separatists 3-1 at the start of the Ark, was meant to set up the need to weaponize the Ark's defensive systems against the fleet.
Brute ships, staggered line, shipmaster, they outnumber us 3-1.
Then it is an even fight. All cruisers fire at will.
Leading to the level Guardian Forest, where the chief would be tasked with doing just that. Since Guardian Forest was cut, the Separatists now just defeat Truce fleet off screen and through sheer aptitude alone. I would imagine that this mission would run parallel with the multiplayer map, The Guardian. Although Halo 3 is damn near perfection, The Guardian is perhaps one of the best multiplayer maps of any game ever made. So it would have been cool to see this as a campaign mission too, but for now, all we have are images of what could have been.
Halo Online was developed by Russia-based studio Saber Interactive, and their cultural influence is evident in some of the original content they created for the game. One standout example is the multiplayer map Icebox, which was originally designed for Halo Online and later ported to Halo 3. The map is set in the city of Tiamen, New Harmony, a clear nod to the real Russian city of the same name. It's packed with Russian influences from the architecture and signage to the overall atmosphere, with plenty of Cyrillic text scattered throughout. This unique setting gives the map a distinct flavor that sets it apart from other classic Halo environments, adding a fresh yet grounded touch to the game's diverse map lineup.
Shooting Jackal shields over and over can be a bitch, especially when they regenerate and when you're in legendary mode wasting clips on them. The technology is fascinating when you think about it, however. Did you know the Mjolnir shields were reverse engineered and improved from a Jackal shield? Always thought that was pretty cool. From the Covenant's point of view, taking out the Chief shields is probably even worse.
Many of the clever glitches that Forge map makers used to push the limits of the mode in earlier games were actually turned into official features in Halo Reach. Players who had spent countless hours finding ways to make objects flow, overlap, and interact in unique ways were finally rewarded with built-in tools to do just that. Features like horizontal gravity lifts and the ability to place objects in mid-air, and seamless object interlocking, which were all inspired by the creative workarounds the community had come up with. Bungie recognized how important these tricks were to map creators and decided to make them an integral part of the Forge experience. What's even better is that many of these features were later brought back into Halo 3 through the Master Chief Collection, giving longtime fans new ways to create and customize maps with greater freedom than ever before.
On the multiplayer map Standoff, a surprising detail can be found on the moon visible in the skybox. If you look closely, you'll notice it's not just an ordinary lunar surface. It features the face of Bungie employee Carney. If you've never seen this before, we wouldn't blame you since you've probably been driving the Warthog around trying not to get Spartan lasered and while completing some type of objective. To spot this quirky detail, you can zoom in using a sniper rifle during gameplay for a clearer view. For an even closer look, use Theater Mode's pan cam to explore outside the map and get up close to the moon's surface. I can only imagine stumbling upon this randomly when playing multiplayer in high school with the boys. I probably would have laughed my ass off.
This is the first part in a 2-part series where we'll have another random facts of Halo 3 going up next week. So make sure you stick around, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on that. And don't worry, we have a lot more Halo content coming up in the future. We'll do Halo 1, 2, all of them. And if you guys enjoy RPGs like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, we already have a ton of that content on the channel. We also have some Mass Effect, and we just appreciate you guys watching. Remember guys, enjoyed time is never wasted time, and I'll see you in the next.